Hey y'all, Casey here with the Apex Leadership Program. We have been doing fitness, leadership, and fundraising at elementary schools now for over a decade. And I have some tips and tricks for you, 3 of them that we're gonna go through in this video, so stay tuned. All right, pro tip number 1. You gotta have buy-in, my friends. You can't throw a program, a fundraiser at a campus without having buy-in from 2 people in particular, well, 2 groups of people, the admin and the teachers. Now, that might seem simple, but that means you need to have communication with them prior to even running an event, right? So you need to be building relationships with your teachers, building confidence with your principal, that when you come to him or her with an option, let's say it's Apex Leadership, and you say, hey, I want to bring in this group. I want them to do coaching, fitness, build our character development on campus and run an amazing fun run. They already have a sense of confidence in you that you've showed up, you know what you're doing, you have a great attitude, and you know how to have fun, right? So that's the first step in building confidence. The second is you can't surprise them, right? So when we come on campuses, we have what we call a pre-launch or a teacher huddle, which is about 15 minutes. And what we do is we add it on to a monthly, so there's at schools, especially at the elementary level, there's either a monthly or a bi-monthly meeting that the teachers go to where the principal gives them all the things that are coming up. What we do is we say, hey, can we come? And what we would like to do is share with them our vision, share with them our leadership lessons so they know what's happening, right? And then they get to pepper me with some questions, and then we get to really build confidence that we know what we're doing, that we know how we're doing it, and that we need them to buy in. Then we give them suggestions and all these things. So I would highly, highly recommend a teacher huddle if you were doing something on campus and they are involved with it. Even if they aren't highly involved in it, I would still recommend doing this so that they see your face at a meeting, they can ask you questions, and you can fill them in. That's tip number 1. All right, tip number 2, pro tip number 2. Is communication. Now this one seems like this is everyone's perfect plan, is to have great communication. And communication is really, really important, but there's 2 parts of communication that we think are really important. One is that there's constant kind of communication throughout what we do is 2-week programs, but without, let's say it's a month-long program that you have at the school, you have to be communicating in a variety of ways. Let's talk about parents. You can't just give them one hit at the beginning and then one hit right before the event goes off. You need to be reminding them in creative ways, right? So what we do is we remind them, we have a big pep rally, and we do 2 weeks out, and then a 1 week out, and then a 1 week before. That's even before the program starts. Then we have a launch party, and then we're there communicating with the kids, and then we're sending home newsletters almost every single day. Now that might be too much for your campaign, but I do highly recommend that you are at least doing, let's say, again, it's a month-long program, that you at least have 4 to 5, 1 pre, and then 1 4 leading up to it. The most important one, what do you think it is? It is the one the night before the main event starts. That's the one where you need to really have a push. Like all of us, especially you at home with 4 kids, and you volunteer on the PTA, and your husband is one of the coaches, your wife is also doing at the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts, and all these things. There's so much going on, right? We have a tendency as people to do things last minute. So that last minute push is really, really important. I already mentioned this one in my tip number 1, but it's really important that you're communicating with those on campus as well, and in constant communication with them. And I know this seems like it's a lot of work, but it's not. But to be available for emails and to be available at campus, and even if it's just at the end of the day, and if you can sneak back into one of those meetings, let's say it's a month long and you went to the month before where you went to what we call our teacher huddle, but that would be the school's meeting, and then maybe you go to the next meeting during the actual event happening so they can ask you questions and you can stay up to date. So communication is number 2. All right, y'all, tip number 3. The last tip is know your audience. And this is a tip inside of a tip, is know that you are not going to make everybody happy. And I know we try to do this so hard on fundraising, as a teacher, as a company coming in, man, we really want to do this right for you. And I know that you guys have the same attitude when you come on campus and when you're trying to make an event amazing. And sometimes you are going to get people that aren't on your board or that might be on your board, but usually the negative comments are going to come in from people who aren't on your board and who are not giving their time like you are. So guard your heart a little bit. But tip number 3 is to know your audience. We have a tendency with Apex to focus on the kids themselves, right? So our audience, and when we come into different campuses, we know that we want to build leadership. And that's a really important part for us, is to be teaching leadership, to grow kids. But you have to know your audience, right? There might be campuses where your community really enjoys a product-based fundraiser, and that's great. Man, go out there and get the product base and know what they want and know that they evolve and develop as well. Even within your tenure, even if you're there for 5 or 6 years, communities change, people change, and their needs and desires change as well. So know what your community is kind of looking for and what they respond to. Maybe it's a big fall festival. That's where this you can put all of your effort into this one. Okay, pro tip, under another pro tip is don't nickel and dime your communities. And we see this a lot at school campuses that are running really well. They have 2 big, maybe 3 big fundraisers throughout the year, and you want to come with a big bang. This is going to take a lot of effort, whether it's a small fundraiser or a big fundraiser. So don't nickel and dime the whole way. Don't be doing small fundraisers. Be mindful, talk to your teachers and your faculty about, hey, this is the 3 that we want to do. And please do not do little ones before that or after that. And I know it happens. Of course, teachers want to, they want to have their fundraiser for a specific event, but just be mindful of all those that are going on. Because as a parent, right, as a donor, you don't want to be hit up multiple times, and then here comes this big one, and then they're like, well, we just donated $10 or $15. When the idea is, don't ask 10 for $10 or $15. Maybe ask for $30 or $50 or $100 once or twice a year. Does that make sense? So we really want to be mindful, know your audience, know what works, know what doesn't, and don't nickel and dime them. That's the 3rd pro tip. Thank you guys for watching. Again, this is Casey with the Apex Leadership Program. We'll catch you now in the next video. Cheers.